us as sex workers, we don't want to be divided between those of us who works on the streets, those of us who works indoors, those of us who work in saunas, those of us who works on a webcam, those of us who work on a strip club. We all need to stay together, we are stronger together, and stop trying to pull us apart. We need rights as any other workers and stop the arrest, deportation and prosecution of the sex workers. Most of us are mothers.
If they were really looking for serious anti-trafficking crimes, why do they need these kind of closure orders? They could just go after people for trafficking offences, because there are offences against that. There are offences against force and coercion and rape and other offences, and they haven't prosecuted, they haven't charged anyone with any of these offences. And in fact, they don't need the closure order. They can just go in and close the place down as a criminal investigation. They don't need a closure order. So it just shows that the whole thing is a total scam and is nothing to do with anti-trafficking. It's all to do with trying to shut down premises and making a way for, as has been said, gentrification, and just to get sex workers out of Soho, because you know, they're not wanted there by the big corporations.
Back up, we want freedom, freedom. All your racist, sexist laws, we don't need them, need them. Back up, we want freedom, freedom. All your racist, sexist laws, we don't need them, need them.
Something dodgy is going on with the fact that the people affected were supposed to have 48 hours to sign an appeal notice so they could turn up in court and make a claim for their workplaces to remain open so that they could keep earning a living in the run-up to Christmas. The court hearing was at 10 a.m. and the raids happened at 1 a.m. Those people aren't going to have time to show up at the court in the morning. That is disgraceful. Yeah. There are 6 workplaces in Soho now completely shut. Those people have nowhere to work. They've probably had to go out to work in much less safe conditions. The fact that this is all being done in the name of anti-trafficking, whilst also somehow being to do with like cracking down on drugs in Soho and other kinds of crime, it just feels like the police are making up excuses, and the real reason they're doing this is to target migrants. And these women are suffering at the intersection of the criminalisation of migration and sex work. Nobody is illegal. Those people have a right to be in Soho the way that they've been for decades. Soho was built on the backs of the earnings of sex workers, and sex workers and queer people made Soho what it is today. They shouldn't be pushed out, they're a part of the local community, and it's just completely unacceptable. And if you care about related issues, if you care about sex worker rights and migrants' rights and gentrification, which is what these raids are all about, then this is an issue that matters to you. You should pay attention, because these people don't always find it easy to speak out. They are not at the forefront of the sex worker rights movement for this reason, because they're the most vulnerable among us. And they put themselves at risk when they stick their head up above the parapet. So we need to make this issue visible so that people are pushed out of their communities. In 5 years, Chinatown won't look like Chinatown anymore. It's just going to be Pretz and Costas. And we don't want that. That's already happening to Soho. We don't want Chinatown to go the same way. We don't want people to be pushed out into methods of unsafe working, which are much less safe than the places they're working already.
All the raids, they claim it was done in the name of trafficking. The media actually covered that, saying, oh, the raids were done for the victims of trafficking. On the news, they only talked about 6 people being arrested. The total number is 18. 12 people have not been declared being arrested. So those 12 people are the women who are migrant sex workers, some of whom do not have documents, some of whom they expire visa. No one leaves their homes because it's perfect or because it's great. Some of them come here to work or to find freedom, rights, or to improve their education and their lifestyle. I have a question for the Home Office. Those £35,000 that have been seized, will they go to those 12 women that they have been arrested on immigration grounds? Those people work that day and they earn their money, so they deserve that money back. Why is it always the raids are done and money are seized and goods, but when victims of trafficking come forward hours, the police does not do nothing about it. What they do instead, they deport them. Sometimes deporting a victim of trafficking is not the option. Sometimes it's actually back home, it's the danger for them.
Paulina Nicole, English Collective of Prostitutes. Now we are in front of the Home Office. There is a demonstration about what happened in Soho. Okay, tell us, what about these raids?
What happened in Soho, it's what been happening for years in 2001, 2009, 2012, 2013 and 2015. And what happened Thursday, it's absolutely the same thing. Always they targeting premises where sex workers work together in safety or working indoors. They targeting, because the current law, what happens, people working together for safety or they work at different times and no money are exchanged, it's considered controlling and it's considered a brothel, and that's illegal. But the Home Office does not want to talk about migrant sex workers. They keep saying the raids are done, so the police, they do the raids in the name so-called trafficking, but no victims of trafficking were found, neither on all those years that the raids been happening in Soho and Chinatown. No victims of trafficking were found. But
so what you mean, these women are working freely, they are not trafficked?
Yes, they are migrant sex workers, so most of whom are mothers, and they work there because it's better to work there than rather working on the streets. They're working in safety. And what happens on these raids, migrant sex workers receive a deportation letter, to some of whom the Home Office succeed, to some of them they did not succeed, as we worked in many of the cases in 2013, 2012 and the previous years, and even in 2015, the raids. So what that tells us about the raids is that they're not looking for victims of trafficking, they're looking for migrant sex workers on trying to deport them.
What's the connection with gentrification?
The connection with gentrification, so giving you the example in 2013, so 4th of December 2013, 250 police officers raided the Soho area. Most of the flats were closed where they said that force, coercion, trafficking, violence, abuse, controlling was taking place. But in reality, what happened, some of those premises, they will be redeveloped. So the only way they could have done it is through closed door, as in when the premises got closed, they applied after the closure order. Few weeks later, it was a meeting where a redevelopment went through for building a hotel. So all the way on the Greek Street area on the other side where the Soho estate is taking place, that area will be made a hotel.
Criminalisation now, sex workers' rights, sex workers' safety. All those listening in that building right now, this is what we need, this is what we deserve. The rights of safety, just like any other worker.
Nothing really to add except National Militants are standing with you every step of the way, and we'll keep, lobbying the police. I think we should all call for whoever sanctioned that raid to resign from that position, because it's absolutely disgraceful. And already trust levels in London of sex workers reported to the police are one of the lowest in the country. So so we need decriminalisation, but we also need better policing and not responding to hysteria.
Nearly exactly 3 years ago, it was on that occasion, it was 250 police officers went in, 25 flats were closed, and what followed was a really enormous community action. The police and the local councillors, in order to justify their actions, because they got press immediately, they called a public meeting, and there it was just a packed public meeting at St Anne's in Soho, where people came out and cussed the police out and the councils developers. In fact, the women on that occasion said the raids were like the numbers of police that came in. They said it was everything but guns. It was dogs, it was the lot. So on this occasion, they have raided in a more conservative way, but it's just in exactly the same way. It's just as dangerous because women are being driven out of safer premises onto the streets, as we all know.
Clients and would-be clients, robbers, assailants, people who want to abuse and assault sex workers, people who want to push sex workers' boundaries, people who want to pay for a 20-minute massage, and people who want to push that to a 45-minute full-service booking, people that we don't like, people that we might need the support of the police to tackle. These raids give those men and people posing as clients the perfect leverage to abuse sex workers this week. You go into a massage parlour, give a girl a hard time, and know that she's not going to call the cops because she doesn't want to precipitate another raid like the ones that they've endured this week. That is how criminalisation makes people more vulnerable. That is how sex workers are exposed to more violence, and that's before you even get onto the fact that oftentimes police are the abusers of sex workers. Police and the law facilitate abuse against us, and then to add insult to injury, sometimes the police are our abusers. In the States, a cop called Daniel Holtzclaw got away with attacking dozens, literally dozens, I think like 60 or 80 black women. Because in the US, sex workers are completely criminalised, and he knew that they were easy pickings for rape and assault. And he used background checks to target these women, to make sure that they were bad women, to make sure that they had convictions and stuff on their criminal record, so that he was like much stronger than them in that arrangement. And that is how criminalisation makes sex workers vulnerable. Where's the feminist outrage? Yes. Where's the feminist outrage? Where are the feminist journalists and campaigners? Where are people who claim to care about sex workers? Where are the anti-trafficking heroes? Where's Sarah Dittam? Where is she? Yeah? Where is she?
Germa, what's happening now to women in Soho in terms of violence?
You know, police raids are violence against sex workers. We consider the raids to be a form of violence against them. The raids also make it harder for sex workers to defend themselves from violent clients and people posing as clients. You know, if you have somebody wanting to rob a massage parlor or a brothel, the fear of a raid will make it difficult for a sex worker to defend herself, call the police in the event of violence. So it's a vicious cycle.
Didi Rossi, Queerstrike, here to demonstrate to decriminalize prostitution and against the raids. And you also talk about gentrification. What's the problem?
Yeah, the problem is that we're here to join the English Collective of Prostitutes, Sex Workers Opera and Sex Workers Open University and others protesting police raids against Thai women and Chinese women in Soho and Chinatown. And what we see is we think the women should be immediately released and compensated for their loss of earnings and also for the harassment and distress that the arrests have caused and the raids. And this is just another example of attack on immigrant workers and also attacks on, you know, working class people, immigrants, queer people, sex workers in London. They're trying to chase, you know, people of colour. They're trying to socially and ethnically cleanse London. And, you know, the closure of so many queer spaces, working class queer spaces that you don't have to pay to get in. You can just go in, you can be warm, you can get half a pint, something cheap and just stay there for hours. And some people, you know, a safe space that you can actually go and meet. So many places have been cut down. I went to an exhibition recently of like 9 different queer spaces that have been shut down over the years, and that's also it's an attack on women, men, of people of any gender who really should have a safe space to meet. And we are also supporting the English Collective of Prostitutes call against benefit cuts and sanctions, which is forcing people onto the game, you know, and many mothers, especially, and other carers, but really the biggest percentage of sex workers are mothers who are on the game to feed themselves and their children. And when you know that 1 in 4 low-income mothers already skips meals to feed children, you know, you understand why this raids are particularly an attack on mothers. Many immigrants, as we know, send money back home, especially mothers and women, send money back home so their families can survive. No one wants to leave your country where you're born. It's a lot of work to leave your country, and people go to be able to try and get a better standard of living for themselves and their families. So we are completely against these police raids. We hold the Home Office accountable. We hold Theresa May accountable. And it's true, where are the feminists who supposedly want to, help women? There's no feminist organizations here, supporting sex workers and defending the safety of sex workers. And some of the sex workers have said that. We totally agree.
But the Queerstrike is a feminist organization.
No, Queerstrike is not a feminist organization. There may be, we work with people who call themselves feminists, women and men, and there may be some feminists, of course, in our network, but they are not the establishment feminists, the government feminists, the feminists who collaborate with the police, like we just heard in Scotland, which they approved of and supported raids against sex workers in Scotland. That's disgusting. Who is another woman to tell me or anyone else how to earn our living?
In Chinatown. We cannot accept these things happening in Europe. It's just disgusting me the way Europe is turning into a fortress of evil power coming from police, telling the most vulnerable people what we've got to do, how we've got to behave, not caring for the mothers, not caring for the children, not caring for the refugees. Fuck the system and no borders.
Silence is not feminist. Am I just a stock image in today's politics? So why is my own community trying to take control of what I do with my body? See me as my mother always did, not an object you can name and blame, or sell my freedom for the highest bid. I will not be ashamed. The more you blindly shout at me, the further we will be from any solidarity. No matter what you choose for me, I will always make my choice to be me and to be free. Don't put me in a box and close the lids. Be open and discuss why you're offended. And you, who are you in all of this? To judge and pay to fist.
It's piss. It's not piss, it's pissed.